Reality is changing. There was more than 100,000 people leaving Seoul.
But why is everyone leaving? Has the dream disappeared?
저는 MZ세대의 일부라고 생각해요.
Shrinking window of economic opportunity.
Everyone needs to catch up with the pace.
서울 밖에서 성공을 찾기가 생각보다 쉽지 않은 것 같아요.
The MZ generation, 2030, millions of people under one label, capable of influencing the election, not really, capitalism, prosumers, heavy on the Netflix, all up on the Instagram. What else are we?
Here in Korea, like in most places, people, media, professors, sociologists, they love a group and they love giving that group a name. So this is the MZ, this is the 2030. And every day we get news reports about their spending habits, about their political values, about their love lives, their marriage, their lack of marriage. And now we're looking at where do they live and where don't they live?
For those living in Korea, there's always been this assumption of in Seoul, especially for Korean youth and also those in their 20s. There's always been this aim of coming to live in Seoul, where the best universities, jobs, best clubs, best life was and perhaps still is.
So this in Seoul thing that was always there, it even came about in the dramas. You would get these amazing depictions of what life in Seoul was. It was romanticized. It was lived by people with perfect skin, perfect hair. It was the dream. But reality is changing.
In her book, 탈서울 지망생입니다.
김미양 writes,
왜 우리나라는 오로지 서울 하나인가? 우리나라에도 서울 아닌 다른 지역이 살아 있었으면 좋겠다. 태어나 줄곧 그 지역에 살아도 자연스러운 사회 분위기 속에서 서울에 가지 않아도 공부하고 취직하는 데 별 지장이 없었으면 좋겠다.
So what we get from that quote is that in Seoul thing is flipped on its head. Now we get people dreaming about life, not inside Seoul, but outside Seoul. We get these new dramas like My Liberation Notes, 나의 해방일지, which shows you these people living outside the city, that monotonous commute inside 1-2 hours. It's not about being inside Seoul anymore for everybody. For some people, it's about being outside Seoul.
Now, daily reports show us over and over again the 2030 generation rapidly dropping out of Seoul and into the unknown.
So where are these people going? They're obviously going somewhere. They don't just disappear. They're going somewhere specific and they're going there for specific reasons. So in this episode, we find out what those reasons are. Last year in 2021, the statistics tell us that of all the people coming and going in and out from Seoul, there was more than 100,000 people leaving Seoul than there were coming in. But more importantly, 1 in 2 of those people leaving were MZers. They were the 2030 and they were leaving. This year in 2022, in May alone, there's more than 3,000 people leaving the capital city of Seoul.
The 탈서울 phenomenon explains this, a shortened form of 서울 탈출, meaning escaping Seoul. But why is everyone leaving? Has the dream disappeared? The answer is simple. The reality is that house prices have been soaring in Seoul, and a lot of people have chosen to leave their small and cramped accommodation in search of something better outside of Seoul.
So this small, cramped accommodation in Seoul that Sihyun was talking about, a lot of these are what we call goshwon. Now, these were previously just temporary accommodation, often used for test takers. But it's a small, one-room place, often with no window. It's like living in a cardboard box. But this cardboard box, this temporary accommodation, became a reality. It became a life for so many people. And then what the young people decided was, rather than living there, they'll find something bigger, better, outside.
So young Korean people are leaving Seoul, and now we know why. But where are these people going? Where else is there to go in Korea besides Seoul?
Well, they're not packing up their bags and going to the other side of the country to start a farm with chickens and pigs, although chickens are pretty awesome. Instead, these young people, they're primarily going to satellite cities around Seoul. And this is Wile Shindoshi, this is Gyeonggi-do, and they're going there because the housing is affordable, but more importantly, there's transport links that brings them in and out of the capital city. So by going there, they essentially get the best of both worlds, all the mod cons of the city, but the cheap available housing of the satellite cities.
And that's the reality. Although people are moving out, a lot of people are still returning to the capital for work. It's like Hotel California. You can check out anytime you want, you can never leave. Do those references still work in 2022?
I don't know if Eagle's references are still good in 2022, but I do know that of all the people that move out to the satellite cities, more than half of them are coming back to Seoul once a week. They're in Incheon, they're in Gyeonggi-do, and they're coming back in for work, for education, for study, for appointments. And so they're leaving, but they're not really leaving. But that's talking about people. Let's talk to people.
Let's flip the switch and get into the glitch.
The shrinking window of economic opportunity. They work hard, but the return is getting smaller, while the older 86, 586 generation still takes the lion's share.
저는 NZ세대의 일부라고 생각해요. 하지만 그런 부분에 대해서 큰 의미는 두지 않는 것 같아요. 아마 저를 포함한 다른 사람들도 다 그런 부분에 있어서 큰 의미는 두지 않을 것 같아요.
I would say the most big keyword would be development, the speed of development, how everyone needs to catch up with the pace, and how trend is such a sensible thing among the teenagers especially.
저는 제가 고향이 지방인 사람으로서 인서울이라는 단어는 입시를 할 때 제일 많이 들어본 것 같아요. 물론 여전히 사용되고 있고요. 제가 아는 의미로는 서울에 있는 대학에 간다라는 의미로 통용이 되고 있는 것 같아요. 아무래도 서울은 어떤 면에서든 지방보다 누릴 수 있고 경험할 수 있는 것들이 많고 상위권 대학으로 알려져 있는 대학들이 많기 때문에 인서울은 입시의 성공을 의미하는 단어로 사용되고 있는 것 같아요. 서울에서 사는 것은 지방에 거주하는 몇몇 사람들은 서울을 외국으로 느낄 때도 있다고 하는데요. 경제적인 이유로도 서울의 물가나 집값 등이 확연히 지방보다 높기 때문에 서울에서 사는 거를 대단하다고 여기는 경우가 많은 것 같아요.
서울권 대학에 다닌다는 것, 그리고 인서울에서 살고 있다는 것만으로도 안정감을 느끼는 친구들이 굉장히 많더라고요. 뒤처지지 않고 살아가고 있다는 것에서 안정감을 많이 느끼고 있는 것 같습니다. 조금 더 장기적인 관점에서 바라보자면 대학 입시, 취업, 그리고 결혼까지 이어지는 한국이 만들어낸 한 줄 열차의 궤도 안에 안정적으로 들어갔다가 인서울대학교에 입학했다라는 의미와 교상통을 하고 있는 것 같습니다.
Well, I myself had to leave Seoul 3 years ago, as the window of opportunity to buy a house in Seoul closed with the Moon Jae-in administration's not so much successful housing policy. So now I'm living in just outside of Seoul, but there are more twists in my story, because those who made their move later than I did will have to go way further away from Seoul than me, since the greater Seoul area in general had a surge in housing prices.
Bucheon, which is the city of my hometown, it had a population of more than, I would say, 100만 or 1000만. It's one of the two. So why is Bucheon so rising so recently? It's close to Seoul. If you are living in the south side of the Seoul, it's like only 20 minutes of subway. So yes, people are leaving Seoul, and I would say the biggest reason for them is the economic reason, the financial reason. For most of the people I know that live in Seoul are for their academic purposes. And still, they live in the most smallest houses I've ever seen in my whole life.
성공이라는 게 굉장히 주관적인 영역이 있어서 개인마다 차이가 있을 수는 있는데 성공을 좀 더 직관적인 의미에서 바라보자면 한국에서는 아직도 성공이 부와 명예로 이어지는 것 같습니다. 그래서 그런 관점에서 볼 때는 서울 밖에서 성공을 찾기가 생각보다 쉽지 않을 것 같아요. 왜냐하면 성공을 위해서 필요로 하는 여러 요소들, 자본이라든지 인적 자본이라든지 하는 수많은 것들이 서울의 중심 되어 있기 때문에 서울 밖에서는 성공을 하기가 쉽지 않지 않을까 하는 생각을 합니다.
If I want to work, if I want to get a job, I think it's best for the at least youth people before their retirement to get a job in Seoul rather than in anywhere besides Seoul. If I just add on, there's a phrase in Korea called 맹모 삼천지교. So it's a Chinese old saying. It means that a mother had to move his son's studying area or studying environment 3 times in order to get his best effort of studying.
To put it simply, it is being at the heart of opportunity, job, culture, education, everything revolves around the capital. If your definition of being successful requires a network of people in the know, someone, then at least you need to live near the capital.
본인이 사는 지역이 얼만큼 중요하다고 생각하냐는 질문에는 제가 사는 지역이 가장 친근한 지역인 만큼 저는 제가 사는 지역을 굉장히 중요하게 여기고 있습니다. 그만큼 애정도 갖고 있고요.
저는 강원도에서 살고 싶다를 택하고 싶어요. 저는 특히 이렇게 아침에 일어나서 창문을 딱 연 다음에 마시는 그 상쾌한 공기와 가만히 앉아서 바람에 의해 흔들리는 나무들을 보고 있는 걸 굉장히 좋아해요. 그런데 서울에서는 빠르게 돌아가기 때문에 그런 것을 느낄 수 있는, 또 여유를 부릴 수 있는 그런 편안한 시간이 없어요. 그래서 저는 당연히 강원도를 택하고 싶습니다.
So that's what the young people think about living here in Seoul, here in South Korea.
But what do you think? Is the same thing happening in your country? Let us know in the comments below. Yeah?